Kilpatrick, inspiration for the nation, celebrating people we feel good about. El Jabba Abdul Qadir is one of the founders of the Dream Summit. It's the second annual Dream Summit 2023. Second or third?
This is the second annual.
Yeah, the Dream Gala is three.
Exactly.
But, right, okay, we got that.
Exactly.
El Jabba, what does it mean to have this event taking place again here in Syracuse, New York?
It's a refreshing feeling to feel that we have support from our sponsors and our community and our speakers, to bring something like this to the Syracuse area. The Dream Summit is all about uplifting and educating and inspiring folks, and it feels great to see the response that we had so far.
Nice crowd in there today. What do you hope people take away from this event today?
Yeah, so today I really want people to sit down, to network with one another, to really hear from the inspirational speakers, and then from those breakout sessions, those are really educational and tangible. Like you can take away some tangible skills. I'm a firm believer that if you believe something, belief involves action, right? And so once a person is talking to you and gives you some information that you need to apply to life to help you, you should apply it, right?
The business itself has elevated. The Dream Summit itself is now an LLC in and of itself. That was an important step for the group.
Yeah. So we're actually a 501c3.
501c3.
So we're not an LLC.
Don't do that, right? Because the IRS be like.
so it's important to make the distinction. We're not a for-profit company. We're a 501c3 registered not-for-profit company, because it really is a social justice mission that we have.
Okay.
Our founders are business owners, and we generate income in our work and in our entrepreneurial endeavors, and we're doing this as a philanthropic effort to educate, inspire, uplift the community around us.
Yeah, you said social justice mission. Say more about that.
Yeah, sure. The Dream Summit really is looking at addressing issues of abject poverty, issues of lack of education, issues of injustice, whether we're talking about folks being heavily incarcerated, whether we're talking about folks falling down with respect to health and education, equity, et cetera, right? Which is why we bring in our subject matter, our subject area experts to talk about strategies that could be used to address and overcome some of those challenges, but two, they have the lived experience, right? And so it's a combination of subject matter experts and people who have lived experience overcoming some of these challenges, right?
So why do it in Syracuse? You're a transplant, but I guess you consider yourself a Syracusan now.
Look, I've been here since '94.
Okay,
so I'm originally from the Bronx. I came here, as a college student, and stayed here. Fell in love with the city. Tried to move away for a little bit, but every time you try to get out, they pull you back in. Right? and so I'm here. Like, I'm a Syracusan, and really a lot of the social issues that are faced in impoverished communities throughout the world, we face them here. We don't have to look too far to see housing challenges, food insecurity, and some of the other things that we're passionate about helping to address. And so why here Syracuse? Because Syracuse is home. Mm-hmm. And if we're gonna be philanthropic around the world and around the country and other places, you should probably look in your backyard and try and address some of the challenges we have here as well.
Uh-oh, that was a tease. You're saying that this Dream Summit is too big, just be right here.
I mean,
that's a dream, right?
Yeah. That's what we're about, right? If you are looking to try and address challenges and inequalities, then you can't just address the things that are happening in your area, right? It's those, like, all boats rise,
yes,
right?
Yes.
We are.
You get your eyes.
We are bringing it on the national stage. There are Syracuses all over the country.
So basically, connecting with the folks around the country who have some connection to the community, and then basically helping to plant that seed so this can be living there. All right, you're an entrepreneur as well. You're a champion athlete. So you got a lot of stuff going on. How do you make the time to balance between your family, your business ventures, and all of the things you have going on, and your professional life? You got a lot of balls juggling?
Yeah, it's funny that you finished saying that, because that is the answer to my question, right? And so whenever I think about the multiple things that I have going on in life, I do feel like I'm juggling. But while I'm juggling, I have to identify which of those balls are crystal balls and which of those balls are rubber.
Okay.
Right? And so those crystal balls are my family. Those crystal balls are my faith. Those crystal balls are, the folks who are important in my community, my work, and the things that, right? And some of the rubber balls are things that I really have to recognize that if something is gonna drop, it won't be one of the crystal balls. You know what I mean? And so once I clearly prioritize and identify those things, my passion and my drive and some of the things that I do, dovetail well with one another. Okay?
All right, that's Al-Java Abdul Qadir, one of the founders of the Dream Summit 2023, exclusively here on Inspiration for the Nation. So glad that you have the opportunity to hear from this brother who's doing some great things. Actually, come see this brother, because he helps entrepreneurs do some things as well. And so, but that's another story. No.
Well, a quick plug is that
yes.
One of the things that we have been able to do with the assistance of National Grid and Syracuse University is to create an ongoing service. It's not just, the Dream Summit is not just a one-day event, right? And so we're going to be able to provide ongoing entrepreneurial education and support throughout the months following the Dream Summit. Okay. So that's one way that you can get involved as well and receive some assistance.
I love that. It's not one and done. It's for the long term and for the long haul. Syracuse, we've got a gem. Let's make some things happen. And what Al-Java said, it's not just coming and talking, it's also being about action. So hopefully at the end of this, you will be motivated, inspired, but more about the business of getting things done.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Don't talk about it, be about it. Al-Java Abdul Qadir, George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation. George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Errol Moody is a speaker, motivator, nationally recognized Disney Plus host, who is the MC for the day and also one of the founders here of the Dream Summit. And so, Errol, what does this day mean to you?
Whenever you think about the concept of a dream, it's the most simple yet the most complex idea that exists. Everyone understands it, but when you really get it, when you have a vision to say, I want to put something together, I want to see it come to life, and then it happens, that's the manifestation of that dream. So this event to me is about planting a seed that no matter who you are or where you're from, not only that you should understand that a dream exists, but you've got to know what yours is, because when you got yours, it drives you and it moves you forward, it pulls you out of bed every day, and we want this event to pull people out of bed to go do the things that are most important in their lives.
Yeah, get yours, right?
That's right.
I know that's a really important part of the work you talked about, and inside you told people to talk to one another, find out what each other do, say hello.
That's right. So much of life is about not just what you know, but who you know, right? And more importantly, who knows you. So when you have conversations with people, as simple as that might be, it's breaking that tension, that barrier. And my belief is that an event, you only need to meet one person and get one idea. If you meet one person and you get one idea, it's a successful event, because many people go to events and then they leave and they take nothing from it. They've met no one from it. Maybe they handed out business cards, but they didn't make a real connection. So facilitating those connections, facilitating that one takeaway, that's my main goal by emceeing the event today.
Why do you want to be involved in the Dream Summit? Like, what brought you into the fold?
So there's a guy named George Kilpatrick. He's one of the most charismatic, handsome men in the world. And I said, whatever George is going to be at, that's where I want to be at. Now,
that's a good answer, though.
In addition to that, Eli Smith and Al-Java Abdul Qadir are co-founders, and they are absolutely incredible men. So what happened is they brought this idea to me over lunch one day, and I said to myself, if they're behind it and they're doing it, it can only be an important thing. And then once I understood their vision for it, I was bought in, because this is a way to, I'm a big believer in lifting as we climb. So we have to do well individually, very important, and bring others up along the way. So this is a way to do that.
So why is this important for the Syracuse area? We've got some big announcements. Micron is here, one of the sponsors today. Why is an event like this, second year of it, important for this community, you think?
It's super important because the elephant in the room is that people think there's nothing happening here. The elephant in the room is when you go outside, people go, oh, you're from the Syracuse area? Oh, nothing happens there. And to me, I'm like, this is the best kept secret if you think nothing is happening here. So when you have young people here, when you have other business owners, and they're seeing the kinds of products that come out of this area, the kinds of people, the kinds of businesses that are coming in, it gives a sense of pride. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things that you can have for a city, is feeling like, oh, not just like I'm from here, but it's like, no, I'm from here. And I think that sense of pride that this event creates by showcasing everything that's happening is absolutely essential and beautiful.
You're making Central New York your home as well. You moved here. What is it about Syracuse that gives you the thinking that this is the place to be? Because Syracuse don't often feel that way about their hometown.
You know, it's always interesting. Whenever you're from somewhere, you don't necessarily appreciate it as much as when you come from an outside lens. So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and my business, as long as I have an airport and an internet, I'm good. I could live anywhere, and I can afford to live in many, many places. I love being here because the people are genuine. When you meet someone, it's not what do you do, it's who are you first. So it's who first, what second, which I think is very important. I have a family, so knowing that my kids can run in the grass and, you know, go to their neighbors and connect with them is very important to me. So I think there's a lot of beauty that this area has to offer, and some really great people that don't take themselves too seriously. But sometimes, like when I'm in other places, people kind of take themselves a little bit too seriously.
Right.
So to me, the people and the central location to so many different places makes this a no-brainer for me.
You work for yourself. You're an entrepreneur. And you're making it happen and you're paying the bills. That's a big deal.
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, George Kilpatrick, 2009, interviewed me for my first interview. And, you know, I said, if I could get on the George Kilpatrick show, anything is possible. And I mean that because I very much knew who you were. I very much looked up to you. So many years later, to still be connected to you, it starts with one person just having a little bit of belief in you. Like someone, like literally you going, hey, when I was just a kid, just trying to get started, and you were like, I think you got something, I'm gonna have you on my show. It's like, I had validation, right? So a lot of times entrepreneurs, they cut themselves out. They go, they think of all the reasons they can't do it. And when you have people believe in you like you believed in me back in the day, it gives you just that little bit of, I can do this. Someone sees something in me. Maybe they see it in me more than I can see it in myself. So I'm going to borrow their belief until I have that belief for myself.
Ooh, do you like that? Borrow their belief until you have it in yourself. Okay, so lend somebody some belief right now. Go ahead.
There's 1,000 reasons why you can't do something, and there's 1,000 reasons why you can do something. You just got to decide which one is more believable to you. I tend to find most people see themselves less than other people see them. So a good thing is to say, my goal is to do the best that I can, but realize it's about service. Because you can bastardize what I just said and make it all about you, and not realize that the success and the joy comes from helping other people and believing in others. So the more you believe in yourself, you by definition believe in others, and then you lift as you climb.
Lift as you climb. That is the Dream Summit 2023. One of the co-founders, Arel Moody, is in the house. And Arel, I know you're going to have a great day. And I guess you just gave folks something to do, right?
Listen. The one win a day compounds over time to give you a wonderful life. People are trying to do too much in one day. One win every day stacked on top of each other is the secret to success, and that's how you can become an inspiration for the nation. Inspiration for the nation.
George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people who feel good about. Professor Dr. Don Sawyer III is in the house. He's a professor at Fairfield University, DEI and all that kind of stuff, hip-hop scholar. But you are here to talk about what today at the Dream Summit 2023?
We're looking at education and how we use education as a tool to kind of shorten or decrease the educational or wealth gap.
Sure, and you've been doing a lot of work all over the country, in the Dominican Republic. I got that right?
Yep.
And so, how do you think that work is informing the way we can see ourselves going forward as a community with the specific kind of work that you're doing?
Well, I mean, I think similar, to you, I'm going to give you a shout out for the work that you've been doing, but one of the things that I think you do is help people see through the lens of possibility. And so I think that's what the work is about, seeing through the lens of possibility. Of course, we come with deficits and things of that nature. Like you mentioned, my work in the Dominican Republic, my work in a lot of urban schools in underfunded communities. But when we see people through the lens of possibility, I believe that hope is endless. And so we're doing, this work. We're trying to disrupt the school to prison pipeline. We're trying to disrupt, we're trying to disrupt what's happening to the students who are being traumatized in these, faulty educational environments. So we just kind of do work to make a difference, and again, see all students through the lens of possibility.
Why was it important for you to participate in this project today, the Dream Summit?
Well, one of my good brothers, El Java, asked me to be here. And so I was like, you know what, I'm taking off work, I'm gonna drive up because I believe in what he's doing. Syracuse has a very special place in my heart. I went to Syracuse University, spent 12 years here. And so anytime that I can give back to a community that loved me and supported me while I was here, it's important for me to come back and give back.
All right, with 50 years of hip hop, let me tap into that side of your brain.
Okay.
What should we think about hip hop and its contribution to the economic development of our communities, and how does that play out going forward? What do we take from hip hop? Because people have mixed feelings, but it's still a global phenomenon. But what would you say about hip hop and its impact?
I would say that hip hop is important because for me, selfishly, hip hop gave me a voice. And one of the projects that I run is called Hip Hop Heals, right? Because people talk about the harms of hip hop. So I believe that if hip hop can harm, hip hop can also be used to heal. And I don't think that we'll be able to connect with youth if we demonize the culture that they participate in.
How does hip hop heal?
I think that we use the tool, right? We can't get confused by the commercial stuff that we see, right? That's commercialized hip hop. But when we understand the elements, and one of the most important elements of the knowledge of self, understanding our history and understanding all of the elements, we can use that to meet students where they are, and again, help them to see their lives through the lens of possibility. And I think hip hop is an unbelievable tool to be able to do that.
All right, as a professor, give your students some homework that will help them achieve their dream.
So I'm gonna say, one, other people's opinion of you is none of your business, right? Because I think that there are people who try and steal your dreams. We're talking about the Dream Summit. I don't want students to be daydreamers. I don't want students to be daydreamers in the sense that they're just lollygagging, but I want students to be daydreamers in the way that they keep their eyes open and focus on their goals, and work with support networks that allow them to reach those dreams. And so, other people's opinion of you is none of your business. I believe Oprah Winfrey said that.
Don Sawyer, up in here, up in here. Dream Summit 2023, Inspiration for the Nation. Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Venus Quates is the president and the CEO of Launch Tech, one of the speakers at the Dream Summit 2023 here in Syracuse, New York. Venus, so good to meet you. Tell me about Launch Tech.
Yes, we are a technology solutions provider. We're based in Huntsville, Alabama. Our job and our expertise is in critical technology infrastructure. So what we do, we take legacy old environments from the government and public sector and make them fresh and new. Cybersecurity analysis and support, and also modernization.
How you get into tech?
I've actually always been a techie, so I used to break things around the house. That's how I started, and I put them back together, except the doorbell is still broken at my mother's house. But also military. I'm an Air Force veteran as well.
And so how did you turn that into a business?
Absolutely. So I've always had one. Since I was a kid, I've always sold things and made them. Even in the military, I probably made more money in my side hustle. I used to cut hair and things like that.
Okay.
But this business, it was out of necessity. I wanted to just have a foundation of inclusion and excellence as well, which is part of our tagline and our mission for our company, to deliver excellence, period.
So you're based in Huntsville, Alabama, but you have an office here in upstate?
I do. So I actually started. So we were originally headquartered in Buffalo, New York. That's where I'm originally from, and moved back home to be a caretaker of my dad and wanted to start this thing there, and then it just kind of grew.
Who are your customers?
We have plenty. Department of Defense. We have large institutions on the commercial sector as well. Robert Half, M&T Bank is a customer of ours. Then the state of New York, Metro Transit Authority, New York, New Jersey Port Authority. So we have several.
Small potatoes, right? little companies, right? Look, the Port Authority in and of itself, right?
It's huge, right?
But you start with the Department of Defense, even that. So your talk today was about the sky is not the limit. What was your message to entrepreneurs today?
Right, so I think one of the things, all we can see standing here in these beautiful windows is the sky. And that is adjacent to us having limiting beliefs, whether it's those that we set and put upon ourselves or those that are put upon us because we're minorities or diverse or women. So I wanted to empower people, entrepreneurs, and professionals to understand that we can dream beyond that and beyond anything we could ask of or think about. Like, our dreams should be enormous and that nobody can stop us. So just like we understand there's space, Venus, and other things
All
beyond
right
the
now,
sky,
Venus.
right? Beyond that Earth's atmosphere, I want them to dream that big as well.
All right, so what's one thing you want folks who are watching you, listening to you to do today?
You know what? I think that one thing, we can dream all day, but beyond that is that execution.
Okay.
So be empowered to not only write it down and to talk about it and things like that, but also put the the pedal to the metal and actually execute with excellence.
And how about rejection and fear? How did you overcome all that?
I think it's a constant. There's plenty stages, but what I do, I focus on the end game.
Okay.
I'm always focused on my mission at every single, because I don't care what's in between. I just focus on my race and I focus on the mission first.
All right, now, the sky is not the limit.
Not the limit.
That's Venus Quaid. She's the president and CEO of Launch Tech.
Yes.
And they're based in Huntsville, Alabama, and with offices in Buffalo, New York.
Absolutely.
Inspiration for the Nation. Thank you, Venus.
Thank you.
George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Dr. Tanisha Jackson, Executive Director of the Community Folk Arts Center. Your panel today at the Dream Summit is on
arts and entertainment, and really focusing on the arts culture as it pertains to economic development.
How important is the arts to economic development?
Well, first of all, I am of the opinion that artists run and rule the world. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about the arts, we're talking about an arts sector that provides entertainment, cultural affirmation, information, as well as it helps to add to all the other industries that you can think of. So consider when you go into an office building, there's art on the walls. When you are attending certain events, those are creatives who are putting things together, from the decor to the performances and everything in between. So the arts is not separated from any other business sector.
As a matter of fact, you might argue that the absence of art is probably one of the things that impacts a community's well-being, its spirit, and its ability to feel good about itself.
Absolutely, and I think that was definitely highlighted during the height of COVID, so that when we really needed to pull through as a community and really just as human beings, it was artists who pulled us through with inspiration, right? So inspiration from the nation, inspiration from artists and creatives to help remind us of our humanity and where we need to be as it relates to socioeconomic issues in the world. Artists are documentarians of our right now experiences.
And so you're part of this Dream Summit. What do you hope people take away? Give them some homework.
So what I hope everyone takes away from my segment is the importance of the arts. I hope that you patron the arts. I hope that you become people who are donor of the arts, because we need arts. Arts are affirming. Arts help to shape the young people in this community, and it's there that we're able to craft and shape the future.
Dr. Tanisha Jackson, she's the Executive Director of the Community Folk Arts Center and a professor at Syracuse University, and CFAC is open.
It is, and let me say this, we have our open house today, 6:30 p.m. We're located at 805 East Genesee Street. Come hear live jazz music, sounds of Coltrane, some food, and learn more about the Community Folk Arts Center.
Inspiration for the Nation.
All right, thank you.
George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Eli Smith, co-founder of the Dream Summit 2023. Eli, here we are, year 2. What you got to say, brother?
Hey, thank you for coming out. Year 2 was better than year 1. Year 3 gonna be better than year 2. We hit so many different topics. What we focused on this year, George, was the veteran component.
Okay.
We wanted to make sure that we embrace the veteran community, life after the military, which we know is a big issue. where they're going to transition to as far as jobs and careers. So we wanted to make sure, and that's why we had Vice Chancellor Mike Haney, who did an incredible job. Along with Venus, we flew in to talk about her crazy career, her business. That's a multi-million-dollar company that's doing big things all over the world. And then on top of that, the mental health component, we wanted to talk about that as well. Coming out of COVID, transitioning is something serious. So we wanted to make sure that we targeted those two categories.
What does it mean for you to have planted this seed and now see the seed continue to germinate, bro?
Yeah, so for me, this year was so important because you can't see around me, but we have 100 students.
Yeah.
From the city of Syracuse schools. And we all know that the schools, the children in the school is where we're going to grow. And like Jesus said, you plant it, you water it, and God will make it grow. These students are, who are going to be the next millionaires and billionaires, hopefully. And so them getting this information will help, city of Syracuse grow, as well as Central New York.
What's your takeaway? What do you want people to take away? What do you want people to do?
I want people to basically walk away from this feeling empowered and enlightened, and also building partnerships with each other and say, how can I either help grow my business, or how can I find my next job or career that I need to transition to? So hopefully that's what we're doing, and we're going to no longer be number one in poverty or childhood poverty. Our goal with the Dream Summit is to grow the middle class for Black and brown communities.
What's the Eli Smith story? Because I think we should talk about that.
Yeah. So my story is just grew up in Myra, New York, from the southern tier here. Great parents, but my father also was an entrepreneur. And so seeing what my father did and how he also had a pay it forward mentality helped me in my career when I started my businesses to also want to reach back and encourage others to come along for this journey.
And what's the businesses you have now?
My businesses is multiple. I have E. Smith Contractors, which focuses on commercial construction. SGTR focuses on the federal marketplace. I also have a couple other businesses, George. I started a tech company, which is going to be called the Bodega Shopper, which is going to be like the Instacart. That's in beta form right now. And then I also doing my first international business right now down in Panama with a couple other partners. It's going to be a retail golf location. So and just doing a bunch of little other things besides construction now.
Oh, and by the way, you just got married.
Just got married. July 7th. So
listen, you're newlywed.
Newlywed. So I love it, embracing it. I'm looking forward to what this next chapter in life brings me.
And the importance of this to the community.
One of the things in our community, George, and you know this because you've been doing this for a long time, is in the Black and brown community, we sometimes complain, but we don't talk about the solutions that we can do, that is right in front of us. So the Dream Summit is about solutions, right? It's about dreaming, but also putting you in touch with those that can help your dream become a reality.
All right.
Simple as that. That's our mission.
Eli Smith, he is the founder of the Dream Summit. This is the second year Dream Summit 2023. More to come. Give the people at home something to do.
Listen, what you need to do is get out, talk to your politicians in your community, and let your politicians know exactly what you need, right? So if you need more jobs, talk to them about how they can do more economic development in your neighborhood. Also get out, go to your bank, build relationships with your banker so that you can have access to capital, whether it's to buy a home, to start your business, or if you already have a business, to receive more capital to hire more people within your company.
Dream big, Eli Smith, inspiration for the nation. Dream Summit 2023.
Love it, appreciate you.
George Kilpatrick, inspiration for the nation with Evan Robinson, president of America on Tech. How did America get on tech and how'd you start that business?
Yeah, so I started America on Tech 10 years ago. It started as a passion project and a way to give back to my community, and I realized it could become something a lot bigger. So now we're operating across 3 cities right now: New York City, Los Angeles, Miami, and expanding. And what we do in a nutshell is we provide technology education to people from underestimated communities and help them get access to high-wage, high-growth opportunities in the technology industry.
How did you find your way into the space?
Yeah, I actually transitioned into technology when I was an undergrad. So I went to school here in Syracuse at Syracuse University, majored in economics and communications, And on campus, I started to learn more about tech. And then when I realized what tech was going to be in the future, it inspired me to pivot from corporate finance to technology. I entered the technology realm, worked as a technology consultant for global organizations, and then realized that, I was making a lot of money and I wanted to pay the path forward. And so that was my transition from corporate working in technology to running now America Tech nationally across the US.
So you got a heart. You said you want to give back.
Yeah,
you got a heart.
yes.
Corporates don't have that most of the time. All right, so you're here at the Dream Summit. Why was it important for you to be a part of this, and what do you want to say to folk about that?
Yeah, so first, special shout out to El Java and Eli. I've known them for many years, and it's fantastic what they're doing here at the summit. I want to commend them for continuously lifting as they also climb. And why it was important for me to be here is I understand that convenings as such, when you make yourself present and accessible, that's how you continue to inspire the next generation, right? So anytime I have the opportunity to inspire and help move our communities, I'm always gonna make myself available if I'm free.
Listen, all right, so give our folks, Evan, something to do that will help them move forward in their dream.
And then as you move forward in your dream, first you have to dream big, right? Secondly, you have to plan, hold yourself accountable to that plan and that strategy that you set in place, and continuously build on your skills, but most importantly, build that network. If I don't want to shy over anything, is you can have great talents, you can have great skills, but what really helps you move the needle a lot of times professionally and also personally is the network. So as you're building yourself, build a great network that's going to help you achieve those goals. That can look like helping you get a job opportunity, that can help like giving you advice to learn about something that's going to be a shift in the market, etc. So build those skills, dream big, and don't forget to build that network.
I love that. And lastly, when you hit an obstacle, how did you overcome it?
For sure. Every time I've hit an obstacle, I've come to understand that that obstacle is there to teach me something, right? Sometimes you'll hit an obstacle and you overcome it pretty easily, and it was just a slight obstacle. Sometimes you hit an obstacle, you're gonna hit it a few times. And when I realize I'm hitting an obstacle that I'm hitting a few times, I take a step back and I say, I'm hitting this a few times because I'm supposed to be learning something here. And whatever I'm supposed to be learning here is gonna help me get over that next obstacle. And another obstacle may come again where I'm hitting it again. But you realize what I'm hitting here is a learning opportunity. So I always see every obstacle as a learning opportunity that's skilling me up for the next obstacle.
All right, Evan Robinson, President, America on Tech.
Thank you.
Inspiration for the Nation. George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. We have with us Corey Minor-Smith. She's one of the panelists for the Dream Summit 2023 here in Syracuse, New York, based in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Tell me about what your role is going to be today at the Dream Summit. You're a panelist.
Yes.
And so what's your area? What are you going to be talking about?
Yes, I am on the health and wellness panel, and it's my mission to discuss severe mental illness, especially in the Black community, and help families to know how they can be caregivers for a loved one living with severe mental illness. So we're going to talk about different aspects of health and wellness, but my focus will be severe mental illness.
Is that something that we're really afraid to talk about? I mean, it is something we really are afraid of. We sort of like, it's kind of like that one of those things that we kind of see but don't see. Talk to me.
Yes, actually there's a lot of stigma associated with mental health, period. Like you can't even say mental health without people having images in their head. Usually I think people who may be untreated, we may see people walking around in our downtown areas in any city, USA, and they may have a mental health condition that is untreated. And many times we ostracize them, we isolate them, we don't include them as a part of our community, but there are community resources that are to be available to them, to help their families. And I strongly encourage people to find out more information, especially from NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Why is this issue important to you?
It's very important to me because my mother lives with severe mental illness, and I had to learn early, like 13, 14 years old, what it was, what it would be, and what I would continue to have to address, even now as an adult.
And I think families just don't always understand what the resources are and how to access them. And that's why NAMI, the National Association for the Mentally Ill, is very important. What other things can we do as community to make sure that we're supporting folks who are dealing with these issues?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to have an open mind and understand, like if a person is in psychosis, having a
mental health crisis, that they can call 988 instead of 911, so that a person can get the medical treatment that they need and not incarceration, because that is not going to help them. But just understanding that you can do your part by, you don't have to interact or anything like that, but just call a 988 to help a person to have the assistance that they need. I'm
glad you mentioned 988 because I'm thinking of that as suicide prevention, but it's not just suicide prevention. So help us navigate that, because it's being promoted, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Right. You're very right, and it is for mental health crises as well as substance use crises. So it is a centralized number, ultimately trying to help people to have medical attention versus being put into the carceral system. So yes, you can call 988, and September is Suicide Prevention Month, National Suicide Prevention Month. So it's important for us to understand that sometimes people are in a mental health crisis when they're reaching the point of having suicidal ideation. So you can call 988 for those types of situations.
What about as a caregiver, and how caregivers may need to reach out for support or respite? What do you say to caregivers?
Caregivers, take your rest. It is important for you to have rest in your life, to understand that self first is not selfish, and you have to fill your own cup in order to continue to fill the cup of others. So as a caregiver, we hear this concept of self-care a lot, and people think of luxury trips or going to the spa. You might just need to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. Allow yourself to have just free time to decompress, because it can be a very stressful role, and many times, unfortunately, the caregiver dies before the person that they're providing care. So it's important for people to take the time that they need to take a step back, make sure their health is in order to continue to provide care for someone else.
How do I get that time? Because if I'm, you know what I'm saying? Because if I'm the one doing it,
right.
Is that mean that you got to have an extended family? You have to have a village.
Yes, and having a system in place. For example, a lot of communities have assertive treatment teams, and they can help provide like casework management. If your loved one is able to work, to provide the type of assisted work environment that they can use. And it's very important with housing, because we're nationally in a housing crisis.
Yes.
So those who live with severe mental illness, for example, may not have opportunities. So you look for permanent supportive housing opportunities. But to the point of taking that time, you have to take that time, because as I say, if you don't take the time for your health will make you sit down and take the time, and you don't want it to be because you're sick that you're laid out. So I just strongly encourage to find the time, whether it's the first thing in the morning and you just taking a moment to just breathe and relax, or that you're doing that at night, sipping on some hot relaxation tea before you go to bed. But you must make it a priority in your own life.
And we must make it a priority to support those who are mentally ill and severe mentally ill. Corey Minor-Smith, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And last message to our audience.
Well, I'll leave you with my life's motto. Don't allow undesirable circumstances to be excuses for you to fail, but allow them to be reasons for you to excel.
Corey Minor-Smith, panelist here on Inspiration for the Nation Dream Summit 2023. George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. We are with the Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes III of the Friendship West Baptist Church. Is it Baptist Church?
Yeah.
In Dallas, Texas. And he's got a new title. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you're back at the Dream Summit 2023. Why'd you come back?
Oh man, first of all, last year was a phenomenal experience. To the energy, the amazing presenters. I mean, Eli Smith knows everybody who's anybody, and he's done a great job of bringing them to the Dream Summit. And I left last year inspired in my own capacity to envision and dream and think big and try to open the door to a new era of possibilities.
Even as you set the room on fire last year?
Aye, that's very kind of you. I appreciate it.
Let me talk about your name, Frederick Douglass. Is that because of Frederick Douglass?
Without question. Ironically, my grandfather was orphaned at the age of 4, and his older sister and aunt raised him, and they gave him the nickname Bubba. But while they gave him that nickname, they were reading to him My Bondage and My Freedom, Narrative of an Ex-Slave by Frederick Douglass. And when he went to school for the first time at the age of 9, the teacher asked him, "What's your name?" And on the spot, he named himself Frederick Douglass Haynes. Not Bubba, but Frederick Douglass Haynes. And it taught me such a powerful lesson in the context of our family. You don't discover who you are as much as you decide who you are.
Talked about.
You define who you are, and that's what he did. And when I look at the unfolding of his life, he literally walked in the footsteps of Frederick Douglass in his own way in terms of making a difference, standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves, speaking out against injustice. I mean, he named himself and then lived accordingly.
You talked about clarifying the dream, a call to action. And oftentimes people's dreams are interrupted by a number of factors. It could be systems, it could be broken promises, it could be a distraction. So how did you redirect folk who are experiencing that? Or how would you redirect folk who are experiencing that?
Yeah, thank you for that. It's amazing that today, when I was privileged to speak, is September 15th. And 60 years ago, 4 little girls were killed at 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham as a bomb exploded. This was in the context 18 days before Martin Luther King Jr. had just declared, "I have a dream." 18 days later, a bomb goes off, a nightmare as it were. And it's really a powerful metaphor, a tragic metaphor that speaks to the fact that you can have a mountaintop dream experience, envisioning where you're going, but you've always got to deal with the fact that nightmarish realities are going to try to blow up what you're trying to build up. And so that metaphor is what basically undergirded the message today, because even though that nightmare took place